Good news, everyone!
I'm the surprise in your cereal box. I'm
great! Everybody else sucks!
I said, are you ready?
Yes, sir, random kid I just met.
It's Ciely.
Hooray! People are paying attention to me.
That's right. You're always blaming me. So, my reputation exceeds me.
It's time to check the link.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
You know what? You just made the list.
It's all in football.
Sure, we talk about it all the time.
Really?
No. Burn.
What is up, you ducks? Lauren, talk to me.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, there we go. So my audio cut out, so I was like, oh crap, this is going to be great going into the show. It is All in Football on FTN Network with stepmom Lauren and myself, Jake Ciely. Code ALLIN, 20% off over at FTN. If you want to go to The Athletic, you get $2 a month, I think, question mark. But you can check the link. Everything as Jiggles calls me out for yesterday. Lauren, yes, I do have to tell you about that. But and other things, we were here to talk waivers for winners, because hopefully you're in the playoffs. Hopefully you care. But if not, keep playing for fun. Hopefully you have some type of punishment for last place, or somebody has to dress up as something, or if you don't want to do punishment, you could do 7th place gets to pick their draft spot next year, that kind of stuff. And also, just so you know, if you watch on video, this is where you get to see my cool t-shirts. My arm is not covering up WL for Tecmo Bowl. It actually does say Tecmo Bo, because it's Bo Jackson, the best Tecmo Bowl player, obviously. Cheat code.
I totally thought your armpit was just covering up.
It's covering up the WL, so it's Tecmo. That'd be really poor design for them to put the word and space it over here like that.
No, it reminds me. I got a bunch of discount shirts and stuff. And I thought this deal was incredible, so I ended up getting them, and words were spelled wrong, and they didn't fit right, and it was just total knockoff garbage. So I was hoping that your T-shirt wasn't the same similar situation that I ran into about a year ago.
So, was you bought some Noki clothes? Is that what you're telling me?
It was bad. It was really bad.
Adonis?
Yeah, it was really bad. It was really bad. I was like, what a deal! And then it took 6 weeks to get here, and by the time it got here, it was absolute garbage.
Like the red dot in the Seinfeld episode, the cashmere sweater with the.
I don't watch Seinfeld nearly as much as you do, so no, that just went way over my head.
It's still one of the most famous episodes of all time. The red dot and the sweater that he bought.
No.
You stink. Well, see, look,
whatever.
that works, because I was going to get mad. I got mad at you yesterday, real quick, what that was about. I yelled at everybody except for Meanie because he wasn't here last week. And I was yelling at everybody who was trying to convince me on James Cook. And after 4 days of convincing, I moved him up my ranks a little bit, and I knew I was right. And so I yelled at everybody about that yesterday. That's what I was talking about, but in a different fashion.
That was a disappointing week. Let's just say that.
Exactly, jerks. Let's talk differently. Speaking of disappointments, real quick, to recap Monday Night Football. We don't usually spend a lot of time on this, but everybody and their brother got hurt in last night's game. Yeah. I even laughed at my own tweet last night. I'm going to say, when I said, they're playing on a Minesweeper field, I laughed. I don't usually laugh at my own tweets. I laughed at my own tweet that time. Kyler Murray done. Devontae Parker hurt. Ramondre Stevenson, we don't know as of today. We're going to talk about that later in the waivers. If you need a quarterback, Lauren, here's where I want to go with this, is we don't also usually spend a lot of time on quarterbacks. Desmond Ritter's making his debut. How aggressive would you be putting Desmond Ridder against the Saints defense, who runs a lot? Desmond Ridder can run, potentially has a Hurts field season rushing upside in a single game, not a season. Would you go with him, or because there's no Russell Wilson likely the way that he was there? I can't imagine. He looked like Tua earlier this year. I can't imagine Russell Wilson's playing.
It was really bad,
so if you somehow survived, your first round playoffs are on your line, or maybe if you're in a 10-team league, your playoffs don't start till next week, and to get in your playoffs, you need to get there. Desmond Ridder versus the likes of Mike White with his 18 broken ribs, Taylor Heineke going against the Giants, who's very safe, but not the ceiling potential. Brock Purdy, who's a little bit banged up. Ryan Tannehill doesn't run anymore. How crazy would you be going for Desmond Ridder? Would you play what you know, or would you go for broke with Desmond Ridder?
I'm staying on brand. I'm staying on brand and going with the known commodities that I know. I think I would lean Taylor Heineke simply because, as you mentioned, the safety, the safer floor. I don't love it, But there are other places in my lineup where I could put some home run hitters in there. I just don't know anything about how Desmond Ridder is going to play in the NFL. I just don't know. And it's way too risky for me to be aggressive. Now, with the caveat here, I'm not talking about super flex or 2 QB leagues. I think that you can definitely pick those guys up. But we're talking about just the regular, single quarterback leagues. I don't know if I would. But what I would do is I would pick him up. I just don't know if I would start him immediately. I want to see how he's going to go. Because if he's going up against a terrible defense, then I'd be like, you know what? Why not? Swing for the fences. You never know. But the Saints are nothing to sneeze at. So that really scares me.
Well, let me ask you, you kind of brought it up a different way. And I know we're kind of talking about something that would be relevant for week 16. But how much... If he went, let me give you a game log. Let's say Desmond Ridder goes out there, completes about 60% of the passes, 220 and a touchdown, nothing spectacular, 1 interception, but runs 50 yards. Is that enough in one start to make you say, you know what, week 16, I could see starting him? Because you said pick him up just in case. Mm-hmm. Like, is that enough? Because that's basically Justin Fields with potential, okay.
That's it. So the passing game, with the way that this Falcons offense works and with the way that Arthur Smith has been
that doesn't exist.
calling plays. Exactly. If he can make some hay in the passing game, great. But I need to see what he does on the ground, because I think that is where he's going to be getting most of his fantasy points. He's young, fresh. So I don't hate it.
And clean.
I don't young, fresh, and so clean. Yeah. No, I don't hate it. I just don't know if I would have the cojones to start him. However, like I said, 2 QB super flex, or if you're desperate, you're in a deeper league, you might have to go for it. And in that case, cross your fingers and let's hope that he can use those wheels.
Okay. By the way, I just realized I need to. I keep forgetting to bring down the Taylor Heineke jersey.
I know. I need to remind you.
I know, but I definitely have a reason to now. I got to cover up Kyler Murray over here.
I know.
Just lay him to rest for the rest of the season. So let's continue. Let's continue with this. By the way, I see all the comments. Congratulations! I love hearing all this. Casey 404, Davey 2 out of 3, and hey, I appreciate only listening to my show, but I get all the knowledge you can if you have time. There's plenty of other great ones out there. Rich Rebar is always a great source of the statistical information, by the way. Love that. So, in for sure for 1, have a chance at 2 leagues. So, I actually got bumped from it was a whirlwind of the exact possible way that I didn't make the Flex League playoffs, Lauren. It was I know you don't care about my team, but it's just I was in on points. I was guaranteed. I had a 30-something point lead on everybody else, even without John Walford 0 in my lineup in a Superflex League. I'm safe. The only thing that could potentially happen is Jeff Ratcliffe in 4th place could lose a doubleheader where Andy Behrens and Brandon Funston jump in front of him. He drops all the way to 7th, which bumps me out because he had more points than me, and I wasn't even factoring him in. It was such this... Yeah.
If this, then that. Oh, no.
Oh, my God. This was basically going into the NFL weeks play of, you need this team to beat this team and this one to tie, and, all those things happen. That's how I got knocked out of the playoffs. But anyway, you don't care about my team.
Well,
hopefully you're in a lot of playoffs.
I have a sticky situation in one of my leagues. There is a gentleman in one of my leagues who does not care for me, and he kicked my butt this week. So I didn't get a first-round bye. But then in the very first week of the playoffs, this week I play him again. And I'm like, oh, no, he's going to knock me out of the playoffs. Oh,
no. This is the perfect thing. You were saving it for when it matters. That's what you were doing.
Oh,
You're saving it all for this.
Yeah, he's beaten me. Yeah. I have yet to beat him this entire season. So hopefully week 15 will be it when I have to play him again immediately. And my team is stacked. But one of our worries we're going to talk about is my quarterback. That's a situation that I have to figure out.
Okay. Well, so we'll talk about that too. Brock, congratulations, 2 out of 3. Kyle, 1st place. Squeaked in another one. Chip in a chair. Love the reference, by the way. Little big man, barely made the playoffs in 1 league. So a lot of people making playoffs.
That's
so awesome. Let's talk worries. Before we get to waivers, let's talk worries. Right at the top, big worry with a potential quarterback if you survived major playoffs. Tua, the last 3 games, hasn't been great. The interesting thing I said in this, and it goes back to what I compared to Tagovailoa before, Tagovailoa for apparently. But anyway,
it's Tagovailoa.
I know, which doesn't make sense. This is like Krzyzewski. It's really Krzyzewski. Get out of here. So, what I will say is that his usage And I don't know if it's him. I don't know if it's game planning, whatever it is. So I put this in the article, which everyone can check out, The Athletic. But they're getting away from what makes Tua great. The reason I love Tua, and especially with Hill and Waddle, is because he throws people open. He plays the short to intermediate game. This is where he excels. I mean, we're talking top 10, top 5 in the league in this kind of game. The last 3 games, his air yards per attempt and air yards of 20-plus yards have gone from 9 and 12 to 11 and almost 20. This isn't his game, but the Bills matchup doesn't help matters. You got the Packers and Patriots to finish the season. Do you stick with Tua? Do you hope this is a get right? Obviously, if there's no Tyreek Hill, that's a completely different conversation. But let's say Tyreek Hill is out there. Do you think the teams are smart enough to see the same thing I'm seeing? They've probably already seen it. So if Tua is your quarterback, how many worry ducks do you give him out of 5? And do you just stick with him in the playoffs if you survived?
I'm a solid 4 on Tua. And again, I think it has to do both with Tua as well as these offensive schemes that they're trying to run with him. Exactly like you just said. It worries me, especially when he had, 12 passing attempts and he completed 2 of them. Like, what is happening right now? Here was the problem, too, is that the last 3 matchups have been very strange. And I thought this was going to be a slam dunk for him against the Chargers, who had a completely second, third string secondary. And they thought so, too. And the very first play, they attacked, I can't remember what his name was, and went after Tyreek Hill deep. Immediately, first play. And then it was, broken up, nothing. And that was it. That was literally the way that the game went right after that first play. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, no, this is not going to be good. And they just tried to force feed it. They didn't even get Jalen Waddle involved until, I think, the second half. It was weird. Like, no Mike Gesicki, who was not this huge superstar, but at least there's something there. The short and intermediate pass, but still, at least he was involved for Tua.
Hold on, wait, did you just say intermediate? Did you just say intermediate?
I don't know, did I? The short and intermediate. Short intermediate.
By the way.
Shermediate. The Shermediate game.
It's like the people from Louisville. They actually just say Louisville. It's only 2 syllables instead of 3. Yeah, they cut out a syllable. The interesting thing, look, Mike Gesicki's been a bust, but that does point a little bit to the style change. 0, 0, 0, the last 3 games. Targets, 2. So, again, this style change has to lean towards, again, if Tyreek Hill's out against Buffalo, and Buffalo also watch the weather for that game, they're already predicting snow, that could lean away from Tua, which I would if there's snow. But all that being said, let's go to something else. Let's talk.
Yes, I'm worried. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Let's talk about. We need a new name because we have Bellatrix, we have Shanahanigans.
Shermediate.
We need something. Yeah, we have Shermediate. We need something for Campbell. Yeah, Dan Campbell chunky soup. I don't that doesn't we need something for Campbell because this backfield for the Lions continually has screwed people over this year. Here's the one thing I will say. Cannibalized. I like that.
Cannibalized, yeah, like cannibalized as well as caramelized, but Campbell, so cannibalized. We were cannibalized.
I like it. Done. Boom.
Done.
All right, since you're good at that,
team.
While you're doing that, as a side, think of something for Zach Taylor too, because he might be the worst of the worst of the worst. How did he get away with not telling us about T. Higgins? Seriously.
Don't know.
How is that a thing? No, the NFL rules. I want to know how that's a thing.
Yeah,
that's
they
what I'm saying.
Don't they?
How did he get away with there was something wrong with T. Higgins? I'm as livid as everybody else with this T. Higgins thing. I had a big fat 0 from T. Higgins and quite a few lineups. Anyway, so Campbell, as I said, I gave Swift 2 and an egg. I gave Jamal Williams 3 and an egg. Jamal Williams I gave 3 and an egg because there's Justin Jackson nonsense. The DeAndre Swift is 2 and an egg only because of this. It's the injuries. Do you know there's only been 2 weeks this season, just 2, where DeAndre Swift hasn't been on the injury report? It was week 1 when he had a huge game, and it was week 13 when he had a huge game. So is 2.5 even a little bit aggressive? Because it basically doesn't sound to me like DeAndre Swift's not on the injury report, you play him. He's on the injury report, you don't. Is it that simple?
I kind of think it is. I honestly think that the way that Dan Campbell kind of uses his back. Now, this week against the Vikings was very interesting. Justin Jackson, hi, where have you been? I guess on the Lions.
I saw the second number 2, and I was like, oh, good, we got the oh, that's Justin Jackson.
It was so weird. I was like, okay, that's strange. I really like the way that he does use his backs, but he is not as tricky as I think we all but we all kind of feel, I guess. Jamal Williams, what happened to you? That was awful. But when it comes to DeAndre Swift,
he lost the carry to Jackson.
I know. I don't like it. I think when it comes to Dan Campbell, it's not so much about Dan Campbell. This is DeAndre Swift. I mean, just like you said, when he's healthy, play him. If he's questionable, I think he's really, really, really questionable, right? So I don't know. That situation is pretty cut and dry for me when it comes to DeAndre Swift.
He's like I made the comparison last week. He's satellite. You either got him or you don't. You don't get fuzzy satellite. It's like either you got it and it's working properly, or it's completely broken up and you want nothing to do with it. There you go. DeAndre Swift, the satellite running back. Yeah, there you go. Not really, but you see, yeah. There you go. How about that? You didn't know DeAndre Swift was a satellite running back.
Well, now we do.
Last one.
Firing these off. I love it.
I know. Last one. Mike Evans. So, Mike Evans, if you looked at the game log, I mean, he's full on infinity duck. However, the only reason I gave him 3 is because of this reason. If anybody didn't see the Buccaneers game, there was a touchdown called back where he left a defender in the dust because of holding. And then Tom Brady, because Tom Brady's apparently not good anymore, missed him completely on another touchdown. So, I'm not saying full-on panic with Mike Evans. He is warranted to have a bit of worry. This is the comparison I made, and tell me if I'm crazy at this point, Lauren. Since Chris Godwin's come back, he's essentially Gabe Davis, which is also a disappointment this year.
No, I actually I would assign 4 ducks to go to old Mike Evans.
Okay.
And the reason why is because we're not getting from Mike Evans what we need to be getting. I know that sounds very obvious, but what Mike Evans is good for is like 3 targets, 2 receptions, 40 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Like that's what just
you know what he's been good for lately? Mike Evans has been war lately. I know. I was gonna say he's been war lately. Absolutely nothing. Say it again.
Yeah. No. It's mad. It makes me mad. It's mad. It is mad.
You're not gonna sing the war. What is it good for? You're not gonna. No.
No, I'm not. No, I'm a little stuffy and congested, so I'm gonna sound like a dying cat. So no, I'll leave that to you. I'll leave that to you. But yeah, so we're not
allowed to say what cats are anymore.
Yeah, you're not.
I got censored for that.
You did. You absolutely
Canada.
did. And my cat is outside, so there's no need to worry about spilled Yetis of water. But the other problem is that Tom Brady is not throwing deep. And when he's throwing deep, he's throwing inaccurately. That is my biggest concern for Mike Evans because he doesn't live where Chris Godwin lives. It's bad. So I'm scared for Mike Evans. You have to play him because you never know. But it is gross. I would not want to have to deal with that situation.
Do I need to pull out the blackboard for this next one as we get into waivers for the running backs? For everybody that doesn't know why I said blackboard instead of whiteboard is because on screen when you're doing video, it's very hard to see the whiteboard. So I actually bought it's a magnetic blackboard so you can write on it. So you can
fun!
Well, because we used to do Nando with his games, so that's what it's actually really hard to see when you write on this, even if it's that's why I did that. Anyway,
that is true.
To bring that out because I did the flow chart. Remember? A couple weeks ago for the different situations
epic.
with the Jets.
It was an epic flowchart.
Somebody told me I needed to for the Patriots, but I thought this one was a little bit simpler. But apparently, we need to talk about it because flowchart Damian Harris situation with Rondre Stevenson situation because this is what's happening. Stevenson got hurt. We don't know. He says day to day. It could. Who the hell knows? I mean, it's the Patriots. Running backs, players always talk positively. So Stevenson plays. And Damian Harris plays, they kind of go back to their similar roles from before Damian Harris could get. They love using Damian Harris.
Yes.
As long as he's healthy.
Yeah, as long as he's on the field, yes.
So I think for me, let's start there and stop there. Rondre Stevenson and RB2, Damian Harris and RB3 in that situation because everybody's healthy. Well, not everybody, but everybody's out there this week.
Yes. High upside. High upside RB3. Possibly RB2 territory for Damian Harris, depending on his touchdowns, because he is touchdown dependent. Yes. We'll leave it at that. But I think that both of them have high upside potential. But I think that's where they're going to live if we're going to just take the average on both of them, RB2, RB3.
Okay. So let's take it one step further. No Ramondre Stevenson, but Damian Harris is out there. I think Damian Harris becomes borderline top 15 because of the volume. I think you might see a little bit of Harris and Strong, but basically
which Harris? Kevin Harris or Damian Harris?
Yes.
Or both?
Yeah, well, I was saying if Damian Harris asks you to play. So basically, put it this way. If Stevenson plays, no Damian Harris. If Harris plays, no Ramondre Stevenson. Ramondre Stevenson, potential top 10. Damian Harris, potential top 15. The other piece is barely involved. Are you on the same page there?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm with you.
So now let's go to the other side. I don't even know where this flowchart's going. That's why I didn't do one, because this one almost feels like it's.
We need like an entire screen. George, put up a new screen just for the flowchart. Let's go.
Like what's the other one? It's like a problem chart where like you get the circle and the diamond, and then like it's kind of like it starts pivoting off in like 17 different ways.
Yes. I thought you meant the brainstorming one where it all just kind of like comes out.
No.
And you're like, oh, this leads to that. Yeah.
So no
that
Damian
took me back
Harris.
to like 7th grade.
No, as everybody, because you said which Harris, now there's 17 different Harrises in the comments. No Damian Harris, no Ramondre Stevenson.
All right.
This is how I'm putting them out there. Kevin Harris, this is very simple for everybody to remember. Harris is Harris. This isn't Finkel-Einhorn. Harris is Harris. Kevin Harris is Damian Harris.
Yes.
Pierre Strong is Ramondre Stevenson because he's
faster.
actually used in the passing game. Yes. More upside with Pierre Strong. I don't want to use Pierre Strong in my playoffs on the line, first round, trying to get in no matter what. But if I had to pick between Kevin Harris and Pierre Strong, I would lean Strong, but they would probably both be fringe RB2 threes in that range down there.
I agree. I think I would lean a little bit more Kevin Harris because I think he's going to see a little bit more volume, especially when you're getting to the goal line. I think that Strong is going to have to rely on explosive plays like he did last night, which was fun to watch. I'm not going to lie, because when you have a big bruising back and then you have I don't want to say skinnier, but more svelte, who's a little bit faster and cut a little bit better. That really does confuse defenses. So that was really cool to watch. I liked it. But I might lean a little bit more Kevin Harris, but they're really living in almost the same spot. That might just be a personal preference there. Let's just hope that's not the case.
So I will say real quick, Rich R, I hate you about like this much. I don't hate you because you're watching the show, but he said SWOT analysis, and oh my god, I had to do SWOT analysis with my very first job at out of college was Geico, and the SWOT analysis back then. Oh my god, I hated the Geico job. So for a long time, I wouldn't even use Geico insurance. That's how much I hated them coming like from that job. Story for another day. The only time I was ever fired unjustly, let's just put it that way. Like that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. Like, woo. All right. Zonovan Knight, we don't need to talk about. I'm only assuming he's under 60% because so many teams have checked out at this point. So
that's got to be it. I saw that too
when I was writing. There's no other reason.
There's no other reason. And I was writing my waiver article. Pardon me. Hello, Lauren Brain, for the fantasy footballers, and I saw that he was literally around 60% rostered, and that was just in sleeper leagues. And I'm thinking, how is that even possible right now? That is the weirdest thing ever. Okay, sure, go grab him. Like what? Silly.
I agree.
Yeah.
Let's talk the Ravens running backs. J.K. Dobbins returned, and no matter what you thought about his left leg, because I saw it too. He still found a way to get 120 yards. Like
yes, he did.
I thought he was done after that 44-yard run, which he normally would have ran away from everybody. I thought he was done. I was like, oh my god, it's just injured. Whatever's going on, and he stayed in, got the touchdown, stayed in, got a hell of a lot more yards. But Gus Edwards still got his involvement. We're out here running the freaking Georgia Tech wishbone in this game, by the way, the Navy wishbone. Like this is like, am I watching college? Which is understandable because it was Tyler Huntley and potentially now Anthony Brown.
Right.
Is Gus Edwards still worth picking up and starting if he's still out there? Because a lot of people dropped him with the news that Dobbins was back because roster crunches. I actually even answered some questions where like, man, I really don't want to drop anybody from your team, but it's Gus Edwards in a split backfield with a messy quarterback situation. They're probably running the ball 40 times again this week. So would you pick up Gus Edwards?
I would. And I was in the same position you were into with pickups that people needed to do. And the only actual person to drop was Gus Edwards. So I feel you there. Yes, I do think that you should definitely pick up Gus Edwards. This time of year, the waiver wire is is thin. It starts to get a little bit better because, as you mentioned, people are starting to check out and they just don't care anymore. So there's not nearly as much as aggressive fab bidding and waiver priorities that people are caring about. So I do think that Gus Edwards still should be out there, and I think that he should be rostered. It's hard to find a good running back that gets volume
and they get the
this
Browns.
time of year. And get the Browns. Thank you.
Like, everybody thinks Cleveland, not thinks, I'm not saying that, like, it still could happen, but everybody's like, oh, Cleveland, great streamer this week. Like, they might attempt 10 passes. Like, so, like, unless you're getting a fumble, they're like, where's the turnover coming? How many times do you really get a shutout with a defense? So I don't love the Browns as a streamer just because, like I said, whether it's Brown or Huntley, they might run the ball, run it, and never pass. That legitimately might be the Navy offense this week. Maybe not even 10 pass attempts. So where I asked you Gus Edwards, I'm going to kind of ask you over these next few because there's a lot that I admittedly sometimes when I'm ranking the waivers, I'm like, man, like these are super close. I could see going either way with this. So would you go Gus Edwards or Tyler Algier, who has Desmond Ridder at quarterback even before Desmond Ridder was there? This backfield has been Cordero Patterson, Tyler Algier, Huntley sometimes sprinkled in, but there was a few games Algier was better than Patterson. So would you go Gus Edwards or Algier if you could only pick up one?
That's a great question, and it is really, really hard, but I'm going to lean Gus Edwards because I think Desmond Ridder not going to be passing a lot, and I think that Desmond Ridder is going to be running a lot and rushing a lot. That does not necessarily, spell doom and gloom for the running backs for the Falcons, but I think it does cut down on the volume a little bit, whereas I think that, especially with the way that their offense works, I think that even the Ravens are going to be running even more than they do. So I'm going to lean Gus Edwards by a little baby hair.
I think Ridder could end up passing more than Marcus Mariota was, so I agree with you. I do have Gus Edwards at third. By the way, to clarify for everybody, we're clearly taking Dobbins over Edwards.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Would you take Dobbins over Zonovan Knight, by the way?
I would, actually.
I would. Yeah. And not because I dislike Zonovan Knight. He still did it, but...
I'm sorry. His name is Zenovian. Get it right.
They shouldn't be behind in this game, or they should at least be close. But Michael Carter was actually on the field more. Zonovan Knight far outperformed him, and the touches. But that being said, just that sprinkling of a concern. I'll go back up. Dobbins. Donovan, I'm just combining them. Can we combine J.K. Dobbins and Zonovan Knight? The best.
We can do whatever we want. It's your show. Let's do it.
Dobbins over anybody on the Patriots not named Stevenson. Like, would you go Dobbins over Damian Harris?
Yes. I won't like it, but yes, I think that's the smarter move.
Okay. So let's go back down the list. Gus Edwards or Chuba Hubbard, who Deonta Foreman fortunately came through in the fourth quarter, especially I had the over on his rushing. I didn't think I was getting that. Did you know Deonta Foreman before that game, every time he had carried the ball 15 times, at least 110 rushing yards. And this time he just checked in the 70s. Chuba Hubbard, until the fourth quarter, was looking better than him. So continuing forward with the Panthers' game plan, which seems to be the same game plan as the Ravens because you have Sam Darnold. So would you go Gus Edwards or Chuba Hubbard?
I like this a lot. I think I'm going to slightly lean Gus Edwards only because of the matchup, but I also don't mind going after Chuba Hubbard. I guess he's finally fully healthy now. He's ready to go. So they had, I think, 17 and 24 carries, 17 to Deontay Foreman, or maybe the other way around. Either way, they both had 74 rushing yards. But one thing I noticed in that game was Deontay Foreman was getting a lot of work in between the 20s. And as soon as he would get the ball all the way down to like the 7-yard line, 10-yard line, they're like, here you go, Chuba Hubbard. And it's like, what is going to So for all the Deontay Foreman
how was that?
Managers, just before you ask me again to do it.
Okay. So this next one, as we're going into it, the Dameon Pierce thing just got brought up. We're done with the Edwards because now I think we're in a whole nother tier. This is, God forbid you have to start these people in week 15. Please. Hopefully you don't. So I'm just coming from, I'm trying to find it. Where it is in the comments. So Phil Mike actually did my pet peeve. I hate when people describe injuries and they're like, he has an ankle. Like, of course, he's got two, actually. Like everybody does. Like, they even did that on TV. I think it was the Sunday night game. It's like, oh, he's got it like an arm. I never do it because I hate it. No, it's like he has an ankle injury. Like, it's a pet peeve of mine. I'm not really that upset about it. Yeah. So Rex Burkhead and Dare Ngubawale, by the way, I don't know if Eno Benjamin is just a malcontent, but the dude got cut.
Why does everyone hate him?
That's what I'm saying. There must be something.
Oh, I need to use that more in my regular vernacular.
He got cut the day they announced that Dameon Pierce is out for at least a week, if not 2. That's telling. That's like damning, honestly. So it's now Burkhead and Ngumbawale. I don't want either. I'm not starting either if I could do anything to avoid it. But would you pick up Burkhead or Ngumbawale if you could only pick one?
Like, what kind of serious scenario am I in that I have to go down to like the sewer to get these?
You could have Stevenson could be out. You could have lost Dameon Pierce. You could be down to one running back and blank.
I will take Kevin Harris, and I will take
Pierre Strong.
Both of them. I will start both of them before I touch that hot mess.
Okay, that's fair. Then let me put it this way then. Knowing that Pierce is out for at least a week or 2, would you pick up Burkhead or would you stash Khalil Herbert, who can't return until next week, but could? And what happens if David I keep saying this. If David Montgomery, everybody's like, David Montgomery, blah. How many running backs do we need to see get hurt before it's like, do you really want to be chasing the waivers with everybody else trying to go get Khalil Herbert in week 16 if something happens?
I'll pick up either Kevin Harris and Pierre Strong, and I will also pick up Khalil Herbert, stash him, and hope he comes back.
Okay. Would you pick
That's how bad I highly dislike
I'm going to find your breaking point with this. So, would you pick up your boy Jordan Mason and keep him stashed or Rex Burkhead? Yes.
Jordan Mason.
Okay.
Jordan Mason, give it to me. He had 11 carries. Yeah.
I know.
Christian McCaffrey needs a water break at some point. Take it.
Well, I mean, Brock Purdy offense. This is great for Christian McCaffrey. This is wonderful. Keep it
and I still
10
lost.
yards and shorter.
I have him and Saquon Barkley and Travis Kelce.
Pat and I just talked about it. I'm gonna be suckered in Thursday. I want George Kittle in my captain spot going against Seattle with Brock Purdy in the passing game short. Like I am waiting for George Kittle to have one of his 30-point games this week.
Oh, he will. Oh my gosh, he will. You could see it start to happen. You could, because Brock Purdy was looking at him, and then he would either run instead of like forcing a throw when he may not have.
I know he would just throw it to him.
Third game with Brock Purdy though, man. Oh, I like that a lot. You should do it. Tell me how it goes.
We gotta talk about a Hall of Famer now.
I know. As soon as I was typing this, I was like, oh, I can't wait to talk about this on Tuesday with Jake.
This is so Mike Boone. Mike Boone was splitting, like it was like a 50-50 near split with Latavius before Boone got hurt. And he was looking like, this is what we've been talking about with Mike Boone. And then the Hall of Famer Marlon Mack comes in.
Here he comes.
And rips off a 70-yard touchdown. In all seriousness, would you pick up Marlon Mack or Rex Burkhead?
Marlon Mack, baby. I'm all about that life. I'm not even kidding. I'm not just saying that to be cantankerous. I will pick up and start Marlon Mack if I were in this situation.
I have one T-shirt left, which means that you don't get it. Like, if it's not your size, sorry, you're out of luck. But if anybody wins a championship with Marlon Mack in your starting lineup, so this is 2 weeks out now, go ahead and send me a screenshot. You have to win your championship with Marlon Mack in your lineup. I'll send you a T-shirt just for the hell of it. Like, you're fine.
That'll
whatever.
be fun.
I hate this guy. Hate my life with this guy. All right. Last ones before we get out of here. So, Saquon Barkley, neck injury. Gary Brightwell, Matt Breida. I actually think people are overestimating what Breida's going to do. I think Breida's role is similar to Kenneth Gainwell. It would expand, but I think Brightwell would end up being the lead, where this would be a gross kind of Burkhead Ogunbowale situation. If there's no Barkley, would you go Brightwell or would you go Matt Breida?
I'm going to go Marlon Mack.
Okay. If you had to pick one Giant...
I guess
you have to pick.
I guess I would go Brightwell.
It has the worst running back schedule for running backs for the Giants.
Yeah, no, I don't like any. I'll take Marlon Mack and Kevin Harris, and I'm in.
Would you go Travis Homer if there's no Ken Walker? Who, by the way, Tony Jones, all that heavy run equaled nothing.
No, that was garbage. Yeah, you know what? I really liked what I saw out of Travis Homer. That's a good one.
And that little sample.
I liked what I saw from him.
I expected a lot more.
Interesting. I want to pick him up, but I don't know if I would start him this week.
Okay. All right. Let's talk wide receivers. Oh, another good one. I saw somebody in the comments mention it, Joshua Kelly. I was Isaiah Spiller pickup guy. Like, I still like the talent. They still like Joshua Kelly, clearly. He's now back
I like
in
Josh
front
Kelly
of
as
him.
well.
So make sure you're stashing him. I'm trying to think, like, anybody else, like Alexander Masson if he's sitting out there, Warren if he's sitting out there.
This is such a rough week for stashing or being able to stash anybody because we had 6
Boston
teams on a
Scott
bye.
Found the end zone, stash him.
Yes. I love Boston Scott. Yeah.
Zamir White.
Like we need. Can we petition the NFL to not have another week 14 with 6 teams on a bye? You should love fantasy football, NFL. You should love it because it gets so many people involved. Let's go. Make up your minds. Have, like, we talked about this. Have an all-star break. All the teams are on a bye.
Not even that. It's very simple. Math is your friend. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 weeks of 4 teams on a bye. You don't need to do the 2 and 6 nonsense. Like, math. Very simple.
From what I did see the NFL scheduling makers on Good Morning Football, and they were basically talking about all of these things that they have to move around based on how teams are performing. And so they don't have a boring one on this network and then one on that network. So I'm sure that has to play into how they do the bye weeks. I don't know. But either way, it's above my pay grade, but I still don't like it.
Hey, guess what? If you don't have 6 teams on a bye, you have more options. How about that?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Done.
There has to be a reason they're not doing it. Either that or they just don't do math.
I don't even mind that. Somebody else mentioned that. When they were talking about the 18 games forcing 2 buys if they ever went to 18 games, just have 2 buys now. Just do it. 2 buys now. Done. Why not? Because you know what that does? Pushes back a week. The best thing that the NFL should ever do, and they still have the opportunity to do it. It's probably going to come at some point, especially if they go to 18 games.
Put the Super Bowl on Saturday? Oh, let's try that.
No, not on Saturday. You put it on President's Day weekend. Martin Luther King holiday. Everybody, well, most everybody is off on Monday.
My husband's
There
not.
you go. That's why I fixed my speech. I changed it from everybody, and I said most.
Put it on Saturday.
Just make it a holiday. Wide receivers.
Exactly, or just make that Monday a mandatory holiday.
Wide receivers, Traylon Burks, if he's floating out there, he might return this week. Definitely go pick him up. We've been talking about him for weeks. Number 2, here's interesting. And I mean, number 2 is sometimes interesting. Since the Browns, I know your face. It's just this weird phrasing when I say number 2 is interesting.
Move along.
So since the Browns bye in week 9, Donovan Peoples-Jones is wide receiver 15 and 24th in points per game. Amari Cooper is actually 17 and 26th in points per game. But even more interestingly, Lauren, Donovan Peoples-Jones, 11.9 in 3 of those games.
He really surprised me.
Amari Cooper is 2 for 2. He has 2 big games and then 2 games with not even 6 points.
Shocking.
Donovan Peoples-Jones, even though whatever you feel about Deshaun Watson and that he's still shaking off the rust, looked somewhat, I mean, it's always relative because he looked miserable in his first game back. Looked a little bit better last week. But Donovan Peoples-Jones, wide receiver 3, going forward.
I love Donovan Peoples-Jones. I mean, I've loved him all season. I was worried for him with Deshaun Watson simply because of A, the rust, B, throwing downfield, yada, yada, yada. That was blown up out the window. Same thing that I had a struggle and a worry for Brandon Ayuk with Brock Purdy. Just flush that down the toilet. No need to fear.
Oh, yeah, because the injury.
Donovan Peoples-Jones did well, and he's done well, and I'm happily surprised. Deshaun Watson looked beggar. He looked better in the second half of this most recent game. So I'm digging what's going on there for the wide receivers, and I'm all about that. If Donovan Peoples-Jones is out there, go get him. He can be a home run hitting guy, and I like him.
Okay, then let's talk the Kansas City Chiefs. We have a couple potential returns this week. Dallas Goedert's one of them. Mecole Hardman could return this week. Mecole Hardman, what's the pecking order I'm going to go back to I said a few weeks ago. If Mecole Hardman is back, Mecole Hardman, then Tony, if he ever plays again, then Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Do you agree or do you differ?
100%. You know how much I like Mecole Hardman, but again, not consistent. But he is that home run hitter guy in that offense, and they have tried to make Marquez Valdes-Scantling that guy. It hasn't worked. Never has, never will. Mecole Hardman.
It works 4 times a year.
true. I was discounting the like, oh great, this is why I don't ever draft or pick up Marquez Valdez-Scantling because he's so confusing and he does well 3-4 times a year. But no, Miko Hardman for me, then Tony, then MVS.
Double watch.
And Juju Smith-Schuster is an automatic. I think he's an auto
Instead of being
at
least right twice a day, he's at least right 4 times a year. He's the double watch.
The double watch. Right?
Double watch? 2 watches? Although, if you go by military time, you're not right twice a day. You're only right once a day.
Once a day. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or
But
broken clock. That's what it is.
Your
broken watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, broken watch.
Broken watch, broken clock is right twice a day.
Unless you do military time.
Unless you have a watch that has military time. Is that even possible? Like, but your actual watch. Like the
I mean, if your Apple Watch breaks,
not digital.
I guess the screen
watch.
just goes blank, so it's never right.
How did we get down this rabbit hole?
I don't know. Let's talk DJ Chark though. How about that?
Oh yeah, yes. Let's please. Woohoo! I was just waiting for you to bust into song with that one. Oh, which side is better, y'all? This side or that side?
The Lions. If anybody's been with this show from 2021, you would know that this is pretty telling in the fact that Lauren used to hate everybody in their existence on the Lions. She would not pick up or use or want to use or recommend, no matter how much I sat here and tried to convince her. There was no such thing as trusting a Lions player.
No.
We've come full circle. But I will tell you this, Lauren. DJ Chark, if you need him, I've had him in the waivers. We've talked about him for weeks. I have still at number 4. I don't have him there for this week because outdoors Jared Goff is not a good quarterback. 1 touchdown outdoors. Because everybody talks home road splits. But road indoors, he's still okay. He still had a decent touchdown game. It wasn't a great game, but he still was okay against the Vikings indoors. Outdoor Jared Goff, especially if this game turns cold. Right now it's about the 40s. Could get worse against the Jets. So knowing all that, do you pick up DJ Chark and or Jameson Williams, knowing that you probably don't want to use him this week?
I have no problem picking him up. I also don't have any issue playing them if you are needy at a flex position. I don't mind it. And I know, I get it. It's probably maybe not going to work. But if you are needy and you need a warm body that's going to be on the field because of any injuries that you're trying to deal with, I'm not saying he's going to be your automatic wide receiver starter. But if you need someone who's going to be in the flex, I don't mind that. Here's my reasoning behind it. I think because the way that Dan Campbellizes his team in a good way, Chunky Soup's his team. I think that what they can do if Jared Goff can be on point on this, there are so many mouths to feed in that offense that Jared Goff can actually support, but defenses are going to be stretched a little thin. So you're going to have to rely on big plays, but that's what they've done. And that's what DJ Chark does. Now you're going to have to rely on that to get any points, which is risky, but I don't hate starting him if you have to. Try to avoid it if you can, but yes, definitely pick them up, wait a week, and then you can start them, not this week, next week, week 16. But yeah, if you have to start them, I don't mind. Just pray and hope that they can get it downfield because you need one big splash play from Chark and you're good.
Okay. Would you pick up Chark or Zay Jones? One of my sleepers last week. Congratulations to anybody who started Zay Jones because that was a big game. That's now
Zay
3
Jones.
of his last 4. One bad week. You would go Zay Jones over DJ Chark?
Yep.
Zay Jones or another reference you're not going to get because you didn't watch Seinfeld that much. Either of the Moops. Because Chris Moore and Elijah Moore, the Moores, the Moops. That's another Seinfeld reference for you there. So, Chris Moore, I don't know if you know this. He's already tied for the league, or not the league, sorry. The Texans lead in touchdowns, just with 2. If he gets 83 yards, he'll be the leading receiver on the year for the Houston Texans because he's been there for this. So you don't want Chris, you would take DJ Chark over Chris Moore, even if you need somebody for this week.
Who are the Texans playing again?
This week?
This week. Why am I drawing a blank on this?
Kansas City.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
DJ Chark against the Jets. Okay.
I'll take Chark.
How about either the Colts, Alec Pierce and Paris Campbell? I'm actually on team Alec Pierce mostly because Paris Campbell's a free agent. Yes, he's already had 4 years in the league, and it doesn't seem like that.
It's so weird to think about that, too. It's like he's been around for a while.
And I think if you're looking for potential valuation for next year, like I know that Campbell's not going to come off the field. Like they're not going to stop using him. But if you're kind of trying to think and evaluate for next year, Alec Pierce over Paris Campbell, and then Alec Pierce versus DJ Chark for you.
I'm going to have to go with Alec Pierce, but if you're going to get a 0, you might as well get a 0 from someone who can score you a crap load of points. I just don't know if Alec Pierce has that ceiling.
That's a duck crap. That's duck poo.
Duck poop.
So can I get some interest in any of these before we get to our final little point and out of here? Any interest in Baker helmet slamming Mayfield and his love of Ben Skoranek?
I do love me some Ben Skoranek.
Okay.
I love Skoranek. I think he's
Ben
great.
Skoranek versus the Moops?
No, I'll take Elijah Moore over Skoranek.
Okay. Unless Corey Davis returns, obviously.
Correct. Actually, no. Even then, I don't mind playing Elijah Moore.
Okay. How about Jahan Dotson versus Skoranek and Moore and Alec Pierce?
Yes, Dotson.
Okay. What about either the Giants?
Creepily too. Yes.
Richie James and Isaiah Hodgins. Yeah, they're about 40 yards, maybe a touchdown every single week. They're essentially the same guy.
Yeah.
So
and like
no
4 drops a game. It'd be fine.
If Traylon Burks doesn't return, Nick Westbrook-Akina.
Yes, that definitely is an option. But I'm going to go with Chigazoom. I like him the best. Okonkwo. I've been really working on trying to say his name.
By the way, you're welcome. Well, he goes by Chig, so you can just go Chig Okonkwo.
I know, but Chigazim is so much fun to say.
Until you find out it's Chigozyme or something weird like that.
Oh.
So, last one, and then quickly, speaking of tight ends, just to throw out a couple flyers there. Any interest in Juwan Jennings? Or is this just all, for me, it's all going to Kittle and Ayuk, and obviously Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. But
yeah, that's
like that.
No.
This is how far down we've gotten before we finally mentioned Juwan Jennings' name with no Deebo Samuel.
Yes, Greg Dulcich, go get him. Pick him up. Play him.
Okay. Chocobo from Final Fantasy. I like that. Chocobo Okonkwo.
I know who that is. The Chocobos, by the way.
Chocobo. Sorry.
Chocobos from Final
like,
Fantasy. Specifically, the epic adventure of Final Fantasy VII was awesome with the Chocobos when you can race.
I mean, they're around in most every of them now.
Every single one of them, but the one in Final Fantasy VII is an absolute epic adventure just with the Chocobos. It's a whole entire side story. It is crazy. I love the Chocobos. I'm a big Final Fantasy girl.
I've been playing the remake, which they broke.
Have you seen Final
parts.
Fantasy Advent Children?
Yes, I've seen that too.
Oh my god, I love that movie. It's a good movie.
I spent so much time in the races trying to win those damn things.
Cloud and Tifa. I know, because you can get like the crazy. What's the?
Was it the cactus?
Called? Was it the cactus? I can't remember.
I don't know. Whatever you won.
I thought it was like
that's how you got one of the summons.
The 12 nights. Like I thought the
was
Chocobo one was when you got the 12 nights.
So everybody's. This is just like
we're so
nerd.
dorky. Nerd show. Hey, yeah, I think you got the 12 nights that like did the whole entire movie scene of all these knights coming and slashing your
yeah. Is that
person.
one?
Yeah,
that hit
like
for
9,000 Knights of the Round. It's called Knights of the Round, I think.
That's what you got.
Knights of the Round.
I don't remember. That's how far back it's been. I remember.
I believe the Chocobo whole entire side
quest. Oh yeah, that's right. Because the cactus, you have to go visit like that one island that you had to go to get the, where you rain down the needles.
Oh god, I was remember that bit. But no, Knights of the Round came from the Chocobos.
The cactus needles and the Knights were like two of the best ones.
Yeah. Oh yes. When it rained the needles. Got it.
You're welcome, You're welcome, everybody, for this random nonsense in week 15 waivers.
This is more like off-season talk that we just did right now, but
I know. Well, I don't like that they split it up to 3 parts, but hopefully you liked all this and stuck around for this nonsense. Back tomorrow.
Poor George is like, what are you doing?
George, like, end the show. You're 1 minute over already. Let's go.
Done.
So we'll be back tomorrow with Meanie to talk week 15 waivers. Follow Lauren at StepUpLauren. Check out Wine Up Wednesdays over on FTN, which code all in get you 20% off. And The Athletic, pretty sure that $2 a month. You missed the $1 a month, but I'm pretty sure the $2 a month is there where you can check out the waivers and ask me questions in the comments that I already answered in the waivers. But I'll do it anyway because that's me. I'll see you tomorrow.